Good morning.
Good morning. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 0xResearch. Today, we're joined by Ian from Kairos Research. Ian, how the hell are you?
Welcome, Ian.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed that exhale as well. I think it's just kind of, you're prepping yourself, physically.
I got very excited. We haven't had you on 0xResearch for a long time. Last time we had you on, you said some naughty stuff, so we had to start. We had to start vetting you before you came up.
I had to go to the penalty box.
Yeah,
I feel like the last time we had Ian on regularly, we were all debating pump revenue and whether or not how real they are, basically.
We're still here.
We're still here, and we're still debating the exact same thing. Danny, how are you feeling? How's the market been treating you? How do you like life? We don't have to ignore Ian, but let's do our classic market stock, and then we'll include Ian afterwards.
Yeah. Speaking to the markets, I think I don't know. I'm not a trader, so this is where I feel like we're in a sort of price action the past almost like 8-10 months now. That's the voices that I see. It's like dominated by traders and these macro expert type of people. And I've seen a lot of doom and gloom, like, concerns around Iran and price spikes and shocks in oil causing maybe some downside potential. But I've been hanging out. I've been chilling. Haven't really changed much of anything in the past like 6 to 8 months, I would say. Other than maybe like starting to, DCA into some things. Like I've been buying Bitcoin here, but nothing crazy. Now that we're down, 40-ish percent-ish, 40-50% from the top last year. So feels like a good time to, if there's things you like, and maybe you're not allocated to them, you could allocate to them. If you're worried about more downside, maybe you should consider like, are you still 100% allocated to risk assets? And did you ever take any profits? I don't know if now is necessarily the right time, but probably in general, it's like good to have some cash if you don't have any. Like kind of as a general rule of thumb for markets, broadly speaking.
Market's down 60%. I gotta take some risk off.
If you're freaking out day to day, maybe
that's definitely true.
Maybe it's a reflection of what your portfolio looks like. So you might need to take like a harder look at what you're doing there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not much of like a week to week, day to day type of trader of my things. So I feel quite fine either direction, up or down.
Would you say, and Ian, I also want your take here, would you guys say that the Panicans are winning? Because it seems like they're winning slightly, right? Like the thing is that I came on the stream last week and I was like, oh, Quinn, he's always talking about like XYZ, and then he's quote tweeting himself, bears are like peak winning. And then the market's down like 3%. Like the S&P is down 3-4% after that. So maybe, God forbid me for saying this, the Panicans are correct. It's down. At this point, it's.
Yeah, I think in the short term, like again, not an expert, but I think we're seeing like just a sentiment shift right in the past maybe week or two, where a lot of people expect, as we've come to expect from the Trump and this administration, of like anytime there's something bad, they tend to be pretty quick to you know, do whatever they can to get people excited again about markets. And so I think people were maybe expecting a really fast resolution of this Iran thing, maybe similar to like an ousting Maduro in Venezuela recently, but that has not played out. And so I think people are kind of being forced to reconcile, like, if this goes longer, do I need to be more or less concerned about my portfolio? And I think probably for most people, if you're like fully allocated to risk, then you probably need to be a little bit more concerned. But
yeah, that's fair. It is in a weird spot because I feel like with the S&P, it's down 6% from the top, but Bitcoin is down 60% from the top. So I don't know if you want to like exit all of your crypto, or like some alts are down 90%. I don't know if you want to leave those, but yeah. Ian, any hot takes? One thing I will say before you get started is I am a bit surprised that Iran wasn't as quick as Venezuela, because Iran, Afghanistan, these are historically countries that have been like super easy to invade. So I'm a bit concerned about the way that the military has done it. I will have a chat with them probably at some point.
You should probably get them on the pod. You should probably get the
That's what I'm
Ayatollah
thinking.
and see what coins he's buying here.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's structurally different from Venezuela for sure. Like, I think there's like one guy who's mostly disliked by the entire country. It seems like Iran. I have no real working knowledge around it, but it seems it's like much more of like an ideology that like they're fighting, as opposed to kind of like a one kind of top-down leader. And yeah, I think it's kind of the first real test of like how much confidence Trump can instill in the market, because with like the tariffs and all these other things, a lot of that was like, okay, like we can just kind of, you can taco on that, like you can chicken out, you can reverse, you can even just like, have negotiations with all the countries, whatever. But I mean, yeah, it's a global issue for sure. Like, we're not feeling it much in the U.S. Just because like, we produce as much as we consume as a country, but like, outside the U.S., it sounds like it's pretty bad. Like Bangladesh, like they're telling people like just kind of not go to work on Wednesdays because they don't have enough fuel. Like to my understanding, like Thailand, like the fuel pumps have been empty there for quite a while. Like oil imports are like 7%. They spend like 7% of all GDP on like energy imports or something like ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, was Riley correct? Probably always. Yeah, I mean, it's a rough scenario, but yeah, Bitcoin kind of front ran, like
You think Bitcoin
horrible.
ETFs knew that there was
No,
going to be
not
a
at
war
all,
and
not
front
at all.
ran
But
it?
like, it's just already so depreciated, like versus everything else. I think just kind of mainly from like 1010, obviously. Not like there's definitely no like crystal, like IBIT holders looking into their crystal ball and seeing the Ayatollah getting bunker busted. Yeah, I mean, like that's definitely not happening. But I mean, a lot of like alts as well are kind of like now reaching their 1010 like wick lows as well. So I mean, things could get interesting there, but I think there's still not that many investable assets out there. We'll see some big unlocks in like the next couple quarters as well. Like I think the pump unlock will be pretty interesting because that's one that like hasn't really moved in a while. Obviously, like there's a few funds that like if they can sell, like they're going to make a lot of money. The early investors in that. And obviously there's like a massive gravitational pull there for them to just nuke their bags. And like raise another fund, return capital, whatever.
I mean, some of these guys got in at like sub 100 mil, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's good like 9-figure outcomes for some of these funds if they're able to sell at above like 2 billion FDV, and even like maybe between like 1.5 to 2. Like there's like good outcomes for sure. Like you're going to see a lot of selling there, a lot of like coins trading hands, and so that's where that will get pretty interesting in my opinion. But yeah.
Okay, a lot of stuff there. First of all, I didn't see the Bangladesh thing, but I saw that in Indonesia they have like worries, and they told people maybe not to visit people during Eid, just because of fuel prices.
Yeah.
Second up, a lot of tokens are down except for one.
Hype.
Yeah, Hype is doing
crazy.
again tremendously well.
Yeah, there's like 500 million open interest on like just Brent and crude like perps.
It's like
alone.
I ran some numbers the other day, and I will. It was on the 0xResearch newsletter. If you are not a subscriber to the 0xResearch newsletter, I highly recommend that you are, because once a week I write on there, and it's very good stuff. But what I was gonna say is over the past month, 6 out of 10 of the top traded assets on Hyperliquid have been commodities or indices, and 4 out of 10 have been commodities. And I think the third most traded asset in February was silver, and I think now the third most traded asset is crude oil, which is pretty intense if you think about it, because no other competitor even comes close to it, except for Ostium. Kind of is trying to stay relevant. Lighter doesn't have very limited commodity trading on it. I don't know if Solana has any. I know they have gold. All chains have gold trading on it. But Ian, Danny, you guys are a lot more involved with Solana, so maybe you'll know if it has it. From my understanding, it doesn't. But yeah, Hyperliquid's just been doing. And let me. I almost forgot to do this. There we go. Hyperliquid has been doing really, really well. Surprisingly, well, not unsurprisingly, I guess. But I guess any takes.
Yeah, I want to highlight, you mentioned at the start of that Hype token price also has been doing well. I think Ian made a great comment though about the pump upcoming unlocks. Like Hyperliquid price was not doing well when they were also like when we were weighing the potential for unlocks on that token as well. So I think especially when you consider that, you know, they're still printing a ton of revenue, but it's not been growing in the same way that Hype has been since its, you know, token initially came out, and since the platform, you know, like a year ago, the activity then compared to now, those are two very different looking pictures for like a pump versus Hype. So I definitely think like that unlock is going to be, that's a big open question. Maybe the market for the past few months has been reading into that. Maybe it hasn't even started reading into it yet. TBD, but I think I agree with a lot of Ian's sentiment there.
Ian, do you know when the unlocks are going to be? I'm just gonna pull it up if you don't know.
I think it was like it was a 1 year cliff, and I think it TGE'd, I want to say like early summer.
Yeah, I think it would be July
12.
July? Okay, nice.
20% unlock for 20% unlock for team and existing investors, as per Tokenist, which I can also double check with DeFi Llama because they tend to do a better job, but significant amount being unlocked. That like they have 2 billion in cash thing. It's just, it never materialized for anything, right? Like that was just like, we thought it wasn't a meme for a bit, and then we realized it was a meme, and then now we're like, yeah, it was definitely a meme because they took out most of it off chain, right?
Yeah, they've sent like around 900 million to Kraken deposit addresses. I mean, granted, I've said it before, but like you probably don't want to keep 900 million of stablecoins on chain just for the sake of having it on chain. Like obviously, like there's, you know, we have like custodians and all these things for a reason now. But yeah, I mean, doing that with like 0xResearch is a bit confusing. And I mean, we haven't really like I don't know if they like gave up on their streaming product. Do you guys know anything about that? Like I know there's like there's some excitement there, but I don't know if it materialized to anything. I think it kind of got weird to my understanding.
I asked about this the other week to Danny, and he didn't know. And I thought he was a big Pump Fund streamer, which
it's still live. Like it's still a product within the stack. I think I agree with you. Like they're being hit on multiple fronts. One, lack of comms really bad, especially with the direction that the industry's been going. It's like your tokens and teams are getting rewarded now if they like commit to saying, hey, the token is the only thing, like there's no equity, we're going to, you know, make sure we direct X amount of revenues. And they've done that part of, hey, we have some discretionary buyback of the token with the on-chain revenues, but they have not said the other part. So that's kind of like left open to interpretation. And I think you know as well as I do that like when you assume things within this industry, you tend to kind of get the short end of the stick. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't think they've reassured investors enough. And you know, not that I would necessarily want them to go out and spend 500 million in a year. I don't think that there's meaningful things to do with that amount of money for a business of this size in the first place. But they've made some small acquisitions. It's just I think the overhanging like lack of comms, like unable to give clarity to people around like their commitment to the token, are just going to continue to be a drag unless they address it directly or give some more like proof that the market is asking for.
Yeah. How are these guys still making $40 million a month? Can I just?
Yeah, no,
Do you know what I mean? Like just off bonding curve. Well, bonding curves makes up most of their money. It makes around 20-25 mil. This AMM fee has steadily started going up now, I guess. Like here it was quite low. Danny, echo everything you've said. Like, I think it's fine that they're not spending that much money first year on chain. Like, they've clearly done some things. I just don't know if they've done great in terms of comps. I'm not sure if they've done
definitely
a good job.
not. Like, I mean, yeah, I think they have to do it. Like, they have to get like better on comms around like the unlock, or like just I think the market as well can just kind of like instill confidence there, or the opposite as well. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's surprising. Like the tokens held up quite well, obviously, but they've done like 300 million plus of buybacks. I don't know what other tokens have bigger unlocks coming as well. Like, is Jupiter fully unlocked now, or they probably have like one more? I think are they monthly cliffs?
I think they still have some supply to come online, and I think they've had to go through some votes because they burned some tokens right out of some of the ecosystem incentives, like debating on whether or not to do the Jupuary airdrop stuff. I will say maybe to bring it back to the Hyperliquid thing as well. I mean, I feel like you saw similar sentiment from the community or the market around like why is Jeff and the team not saying anything about are they going to delay the unlocks? Are they going to reduce them? This is a lot of money that's going to come out of the market. Like we should be concerned. And I think they got hit for that. So I think if Pump is going to attempt to do the same thing and basically not say anything, I think they'll get hit for it as well. Like you're not immune to this.
Yeah, one thing I will say is Hyperliquid ended up reducing the unlocks by 90% eventually because, like you said, the market got wary of the amount of unlocks that were going to happen. And they also had to make a statement at some point about an ex-team member was selling all of their tokens the moment that they received them. And they had to be like, this is an ex-team member. There's nothing that they could have done about that. But it is interesting that more people will I think a lot of people will assume that Pump is always doing the worst and Hyperliquid is always doing as good as they can. Despite, I would say at one point, Hyperliquid didn't have as many comms as they should have probably.
Agree.
But that's probably because I think if you watch, I don't know, if you've listened to Jeff versus Elon, maybe you just assume that Jeff is more of a stand-up guy than Elon. Not that I think this. I'm just saying market maybe expects this way.
Yeah, I think there's more people who are happier with Hyperliquid because they received a token and it went up as well, and they didn't receive anything from Pump. So I think that explains some of it as well. I think the other part is this is still a pain point for the industry. Like we don't have, if you buy a stock, like you can go and see if Brian Armstrong is selling his coin. That gets released to you on a regular basis, and you can know whether the CEO is buying more or less, and all of the meaningful directors and higher ups within that business. So the fact we're at the point still where we have to beg these founders to say okay, are you guys selling? Are you buying? Are you holding it? We'd like to see some, do you have faith in the business growing larger from here, or are you cashing out and maybe we're less, you have less belief in growth multiples going forward?
Yeah. Do you know how this? Sorry, Ian, go ahead.
I was just saying, for the Hyperliquid unlocks as well, I think there's so many on-chain sleuths for that ecosystem as well. MLM tags everything that happens. He has he's tracking wallet clusters and everything. He's got some pretty good analytics. So that entire event I think was broadcasted really well. Yeah. Even by third parties, so everyone can kind of go and verify. Whereas like there's not really a whole lot of on-chain sleuths for Solana on the same way. Like I think one, just because like there's not many tagged wallets over there, and like a lot of the people that it's also just like really painful to read the Solana Explorer, and then even like for Solana and like Arkham itself, it's just confusing because there's a lot of like just different interactions with programs and stuff. So even a swap doesn't look the same. Like I think the clunkiness of not really clunkiness, but like the way the EVM is built, like kind of makes it good for sleuthing. And I think people move money less, I would say, on like the like EVM like L1, like or Ethereum L1 rather. And then they end up bridging to Hyperliquid. So like there's a lot more kind of like tags over there. But yeah, I think having any sort of sleuth over there too could maybe help.
Orb is pretty good though, no?
I think Orb is the thing is like
it's a bit like slop though. Like it looks really good, but
yeah, like
you can't really tell.
Yeah.
I saw
some things tagged better. Like you just need to like aggregate the tags across like SoulScan, Arkham, or because like they all have things that like just aggregate all of the data would just be like really nice.
I saw Mert and Helios put out. I think they're just kind of like messing around with product ideas, but he dropped something for Solana that was like, they came out with some newer, API that you can call that gives you all the transactions for a wallet or something. But then he just like vibe coded a little tool that lets you just make like a quick graph of like, here's all the in and out flows of this thing over its entire transaction history. And it's like, I don't know, somebody just needs to make that product that says like, okay, we've identified best as we can all of the team and investor wallets for this thing, and you can clearly see all their in and out flows, so you can clearly tell like, okay, they bought, they sold, they're holding. It's just still like an ambiguity, and you're right, even that we rely on like these sleuther people to kind of tell us, and then maybe get confirmation after the fact from the teams. But something that we still there's just a lack of capability here in general.
Well, there used to be a guy that does it, which was Dan Smith. His special interest was Solana blockchain, but now he's now it's prop AMMs. Now he's way too focused on building the Blockworks product. So
we got to hope for TTF and IR to maybe deliver something there.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say. Maybe it is like, okay, TTF and IR are very important, but it might also just be like in addition regulation stuff, right? Like if regulation says you have to start disclosing like your buys and sells, I think that's probably the most logical way of approaching it as well. Like just doing quarterly filings. But now the trad bros are trying to get rid of quarterly filings. So kind of in a weird spot where like we're like as Blockworks, we're going very much like we're gonna do quarterly filings, and then the SEC's a little like,
well, they're just gonna reduce potentially the minimum. I don't know that every company would necessarily immediately do that, but certainly maybe if you're smaller, you might job bond.
You're like a sketchy biotech company.
And maybe the other thing to like, the other point is like, the SEC just dropped the SEC and the CFTC kind of agreed on some guidance around what's a digital commodity versus a digital security. I think it does maybe open up this new gray zone where like potentially all these protocols try to pretend that they're not a digital security for as long as possible and try to become a digital commodity. But to your point around regs, like probably ideally those things that are relatively close to being a digital security just register as digital securities, and then we just get some of the disclosures.
Yeah. I just can't see a founder willingly going out and saying, yes, I'm a digital security, given that like they would, do you know what I mean? Because especially like if them sweep midterms, this is my American politician hat coming on. If the Democrats sweep midterms, and then now we're looking at like, Trump, all power to him. The family went a little, they went very crypto forward, let's say, put it that way.
For sure.
And then everything is allowed. Prediction markets are legal and definitely not gambling or sports gambling. And then Dems come in and they say, whoa, guys, this doesn't really add up. And then you're the founder that went ahead and said, yes, I'm a digital security, and you're cooked.
I do think the upside would be, I mean, this is very dependent on legislation passing, but like, let's say you get clarity through and it codifies it, and you can then sign up, and there's like a very clear, like, okay, sign a thing and, come talk to the SEC and become a digital security. Then you're you're probably stepping on the right side of history there, rather than trying to like remain in the ambiguous zone. Because then I think that puts a target on you, come 2028, if there's a sweep. It's like, okay, you're trying to skirt the laws that we just set. I don't know if we like you so much.
Yeah. I also need to figure out when Hester Pierce's term ends, because that is like, when her term ends, that's probably the worst day for the worst people that like all the people who probably shouldn't have been here for a while.
Yeah. I mean, she announced like a while ago, right, that she's just not gonna be involved anymore in politics for a while, or regulation even. Like apparently she's really passionate about beekeeping or something.
That's very nice of her. That's very good.
Yeah, that's actually really sweet. It's like super wholesome to go from like tokens and obscure laws and trying to understand all this and getting yelled at on Twitter and just like hanging out with some bees and making honey, all this good stuff. So
yeah, 1 year in crypto legislation. Well, not obviously many years, but like 1 year being the official like front man, and I want to get out.
Yeah, I wonder who the front. I mean, it's like like the CFTC chair, Mike Selig. Like he's been obviously he's clearly for the industry, and it seems I like obviously like Paul Atkins is as well, but like I think the bullish thing I guess is like Mike is obviously much younger. Like he's like he's extremely young for being in that position. So I assume that we'll see him for like many years to come. And I think it's also like the CFTC is making a lot of like collaborative pushes, I'd say, with like the SEC to get these things regulated. I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
It's Paul Atkins. It's Paul Atkins. I will say both Paul Atkins and Michael Selig will be at the Digital Asset Summit in New York starting next week. I don't even think you can buy tickets anymore. At this point, I'm just flexing on people. Ian, will you be attending?
I will be at the Digital Asset Summit in New York. I'm very much looking forward to the Digital Asset Summit in New York by Blockworks.
By Blockworks. Very good. If you want to see Ian, you can email him before the digital, or you can download the Digital Asset Summit app and send them an invite to connect. That's the thing. That'll be fun. I want to talk a little bit about Solana, and then I think I'm going to do Analyst of the Week, and then we're going to end it. Is that okay with everybody?
That sounds perfect. I'd love to hear you talk about Solana.
Did you see the like Jupiter Solana Foundation kerfuffle on Twitter?
Yeah, I honestly don't really understand the full details. Like I know like Solana Foundation released some product that I guess competes with Jupiter.
But I don't even think So, okay, maybe I'll give a bit of background and then you guys can
tell me about the kerfuffle. I'm unaware.
Okay, so Solana launches tokens, right? Like this new, that sounds really dumb when you say it that way because it makes it sound, but it's called like tokens by Solana. It's the handle
tokens
is at
XYZ.
token. Yeah. The handle is tokens. I can't even, oh, there you go. And what it does is tokens.xyz. I'm going to share my little screen. One sec. Share. I think this one. Yeah, perfect. Can you guys see? Yes. So tokens on Solana, and you can essentially, you go down, it shows you everything, right? So it says currencies, treasuries, ETFs, metal stocks. These are everything that exists on Solana. Conceptually, I think this is a very cool idea to have. I don't love the interface. I don't think anybody goes on like, oh, I want to trade, and it's like the first thing that you look at is latest added, highest volume, biggest gainer. I think they probably need a product guy to take a look at this at some point. But conceptually, it's a very cool idea. And then you look over here, and then whatever you want. What do you want to buy? Let's say you want to buy syrup USDC. Very interesting. To buy, it will show you aggregator: Jupiter, Titan, DFlow, Orca, Radium, BuyReal. I don't understand why the Jupiter guys would be upset at this, but essentially they put out, one of their team members put out a few tweets about how tokens was competing with the Jupiter flow. Technically, it's very good if you own the front end fully. And what that means, like that's what Jupiter has, right? Everybody uses Jupiter on Solana. I mean, I'm sure there's like a function, there's like a small group of people who use DFlow. I can't remember the name. Is it Titan? No, it's not. There's another one. But vast majority of people log in Jupiter. It says, do you want to use the Jupiter wallet? You say no, and then you connect, and then you trade through it. I think they're kind of upset about losing this. But I was also I just thought it was a bit interesting that like they're still clearly being mentioned in it. So what do you guys think?
I think it's interesting, the idea that like I don't think we've ever seen a foundation make like a product explicitly like this. I could be wrong on that. Like maybe some like the longer tail like L1s are a lot more involved. Yeah, I think like it's I don't know, foundations in general are really weird because like they're essentially fake businesses. Like, you know, like this makes like this makes no money, right? Like it's just like it's bizarre. Like the whole foundation model is like you fund yourself through like treasury management, and so like you're like selling covered calls and stuff on like the base asset. You're getting staking rewards. You have like no actual real business, and so I think like if you don't have like a real business, you don't have any real risk, and if you don't have any real risk, you don't have the right incentives. And so I think like foundation models in general, it's like really weird. Same thing with Ethereum Foundation, like obviously not just the Solana Foundation and any foundation out there. Yeah, it's like
Any
it's just
foundation out there, fuck you.
yeah, it's so weird. I mean, it's like we shouldn't have these, right? Like they exist purely
because of
like,
regular,
yeah, exactly. So it's weird in that regard. I think it's interesting that like they're trying something. You know, like if the Solana Foundation wants to build products that drive value to the Sol itself, like I'm all for that. I just don't really see what the point of this app is. It kind of looks vibe coded. Like I don't really, yeah, I don't really get like why they built it. I think it's just not really clear, as opposed to, yeah, I don't really have like too many like developed thoughts on it really outside of that. But it's an interesting idea, I guess. Like if you want to build products as a foundation and you want to do stuff around that, but I think like you should have like, it's like, why are you doing that really? Because you know, if you're essentially just like saying, hey, you can plug into any of these apps, like I don't know, don't really see the benefit, honestly. Like it's just,
yeah,
I'm missing the, you know, forest for the trees, but I don't know.
Maybe like before we move on, just to highlight this, and then so we can give like a proper take. So this is Italo, who's the CTO of Jupiter, and he said, "What? Like I don't really understand the project. Doesn't make a lot of sense. There's already a lot of apps showing tokens and serving them through an API, including one from Jupiter itself. So are we not competing?" And then the general Solana team feedback has been that most of the world is completely unaware of Solana, and I don't know. It's not really an answer. Sorry, I just kind of pulled that one up. But maybe Vibo has something. He says, your APIs don't aggregate assets the way this does. Breaking news account was primary motivator. Even if you did, we have our own roadmap. I'm excited to see that. And they want to have an independent version live. Sorry, Danny, I just like kind of cut you off there, but please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd say I'm relatively neutral, maybe even lean positive here. I think I agree with Ian to an extent about foundations for a long time have kind of just been like this sink that don't do anything. And maybe part of that is like path dependency around what we thought would receive regulatory response in the past. But I think realistically I mean, if you're going to have one, you might as well try to, you know, promote or, you know, further the reach or, you know, build some more product or, you know, support more product on your thing that you would ideally like to increase in value. Because I mean, ultimately they are beneficially impacted by if the price of Sol goes up, like there's some reward there for them monetarily. So there's at least some incentive alignment. I do think on this one, like, I don't know, the pushback feels a little like they're just kind of mad. It's like, oh, are you competing with us? It's this classic like ethos debate of like, well, the foundation can't ever like pick a winner or do anything because then it's competing with everyone else and we don't want them to compete. And I think generally that's basically just led them to be a no action thing, and they've stagnated for years and years and done nothing as a result, which is probably like the losing formula. Not to say that you should go and just like, build the exact same, you don't have to build the exact same product that everyone else is building, but a news account that then like directs people to trade assets on Solana, that sounds like a good idea from like a reach and distribution perspective, assuming they have the ability to like target another audience that like Jupiter is not hitting today, which maybe they can, maybe they do have that ability. I don't see it as so bad. I mean, historically as well, like, yeah, Jupe has its own token discovery page, and plenty of other like Sol app providers do too. But there's also like Dex Screener has kind of just like owned this for a long time. So I could make the argument that like, Dex Screener doesn't necessarily push traders to Solana. It's sort of just like, what's trending in crypto today? Like, am I going to trade on Base? Am I going to trade on BSC? They don't really care. So maybe if you can own that app experience a little bit more, maybe you can directly incentivize people to go to Sol versus like Base or even Hyperliquid.
So I have two things to say about this. First of all, I think this is a fine attempt. Like, I think the direction is fine in that you can build a front page aggregator for the rest of the thing. It's a little bit of competing with Jupiter, but also at the end of the day, I don't think that the product that they've put out now is competitive enough to compete with Jupiter. Maybe in the future, they're going to build something like very, very similar to Jupiter, and they're going to like use, I don't know, their advantage as a foundation to push themselves up front. But for the time being, it doesn't seem like an issue. But the second thing is, we are now seeing, and we're going to have a bunch of other chains that do this, is like chains realize that they have to make money. It's not easy to monetize blockchains. They have to make money. And they're going to keep pushing their own products. So if you are, I don't know, like off the top of my head, LSDs, I think are like prime for disruption. Aggregator probably as well. It makes sense. Bunch of these types of apps, I think like the chain that you're on is probably going to eventually come for you. Except for Ethereum, which to me feels like doesn't really care about it that much. And to be honest with you, probably not a bad thing. Like if you're building on Ethereum, it's not a bad thing. I agree. About the ETH
agree. On the ETH thing, I feel like we're seeing them come to a position here where maybe everyone kind of agrees that the valuation doesn't make sense, but they're also kind of in alignment of ETH can just remain this thing that, there is no like centralized person that's going to say, hey, we need to like make sure we drive revenues from this. We're like fine with everyone agreeing that it's kind of a co-op. We're all, staking some ETH to support the network. And maybe we technically lose money on that, but it's okay because we support the vision.
Exactly. It's not a money-making business, but it's like, it's credibly neutral. Let's all stake $10 million of ETH. Fuck it. It's fine. And that's what it ends up happening. I don't think that's a bad pitch. I think it's a much better pitch than like we shit on ETH a lot, but we shit on ETH because it's still semi-relevant. And it's like that pitch is, I don't know, better than 95% of other things out there, except for like maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also wonder how much attention this would have gotten if there wasn't like the Jupiter team engaging with it. Yeah. Like, I feel like it just could have flown under the radar completely. And I don't know. So I think that's kind of a funny aspect of it as well.
I think it's not not to say that we've completely seen this from the Sol team, but they have been pushing certain types of initiatives at the very least. Like, they're very like supportive of like Sunrise DeFi and trying to get, non-native assets on chain, and they back all of those posts, and they're like, we need to do more trading on the chain. So it's not surprising to see an app like this where it's like the same idea of we want to direct more people to like look and trade assets on the chain. Mm-hmm. And I think I've seen some similar efforts where they're looking at, I mean, obviously we have the Solana IR portal, like Blockworks X Solana has built that out, but they've also explored some other things around, I think it's super early stage, but like if you're a builder or if you're a venture minded person, like some applications to just sort of like get in the conversation in terms of if you want to raise money or if you want to build products, like come talk to us and let's figure something out. So they're trying to be more involved, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. they've been involved from, I guess, like kind of the IBRL standpoint as well, right? Like they've definitely helped a lot in that, in sense of a lot of like the 0xResearch stake pool. That's like Solana Foundation stake. If you like track the wallets, it's like mainly like them and Jump. I know it's like Jump is very aligned with Solana as well, like building out, Fire Dancer. I think it's definitely interesting to see them take the product approach. If they can build better products, like cool. If it actually does become a problem, I think that's just going to be kind of interesting, because it's like who would really be benefiting in that regard. I don't know. I think Jupiter also has like a kind of multi-chain long-term mindset as well, like building like JupeNet too. So I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think Buck's very right too, in the sense of like a lot of these things can be enshrined technically, if that's the word we want to use, like the foundation's kind of building these things out. I think just it's a bit of some weird like path dependency, where it's like, you're doing it now as opposed to like in the very early days. Like I think Monad could totally do that right now, and no one would care.
But and they did it as well, right? With what did the Fastlane guys build?
Oh yeah, so they integrated
Shimon.
So like that's like their liquid staking token, but they integrated like the MEV sidecar like kind of into the consensus itself, like so it's all part of it. I think like that's kind of a cool idea, and they did it in a way that's like, aligned with their entire like stake delegation policy and all this other stuff. So because they have like a lot of opinions around MEV, but also it's like who really cares right now as well. Like, it's very early for Monad, like just to be like completely honest, like no one cares. It just because it's so early.
I think you make some good points there around like if it became a problem, and I think I want to delineate maybe what that would look like. I think to me, even if they built products on top of Solana it's like maybe they competed directly with Jupiter, I don't know that it's still necessarily a problem. Like nothing is stopping Jupiter from continuing to improve their product. And if customers want to use their product over, the foundation product, then, if you offer better rates and you have, better trading experience and better integrations, then like, I'll probably I'm not going to use this tokens product as it is right now. I'm going to use Jupe, or I'm going to use like Dex Screener or whatever else that exists today that's already good. If they make something competitive, then that's cool. What I would say though is, you mentioned enshrining some of these things. It's like if you enshrined a like really poor, incapable router directly into the protocol, and it like charged me 10% on every trade, I don't know, I probably would never want to use it ever again. And maybe like then you end up with like, okay, what's the out of protocol solution? It's like, is there a point at which you like induce something that's like so terrible for the user that they're forced to consider not even using the chain at all? That's probably where it becomes a problem. But I think even like we're seeing this debate around, the block builders might lose their revenue stream if we enshrine MCP. But I think ultimately that's going to lead to a better product experience for the user. And then it's up to the block builders to find out, is there another way that they can make money in the future?
I want to say two things on this. First of all, when Solana was just Jito, it was very good. It's much easier if you know who you're dealing with. They're very aligned. Turn off the MEV. It's not looking really good. You turn it off. This is the ideal way to set something up. Now, the command economy doesn't work very well in a lot of cases, but in the case of blockchains, like you want to be able to control the resources as much as possible. That requires you to have like key infrastructure partners. Hyperliquid does it the best. Trade XYZ and Unit. There's separation. It's not the same team, but it's as good as possible. The second thing is, I don't really know why you would do this instead of funding Zoomerfied. Do you know what I mean? This account has 9,000 followers. Now, it's very new. It just started. But why not pay Zoomerfied $100,000 a year to link to the aggregator? Do you know what I mean? Because he has 100,000 followers and people actually follow him. And like, do you know what I mean?
About the news aggregator?
Yeah, the news aggregator.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like, and this was also like, if you go over here, they also need to fix some of this stuff. This is a cool idea in itself, but so I press on that thing. I want to trade United States Oil Fund. Great. $49,000 in liquidity. And also there's no chart. Like this is not, you need a candlestick chart. This, and then you just press it. It's just difficult because what they should have done here is, and I can see why they're not able to do it, because then you're directly competing with Jupiter. But you need to either build a super useful product and you need to compete with Jupiter, or you need to just, I know, Danny, you have to go soon, so I'm going to do our analyst of the hour and then we can let you out. I want to give the right to give the analyst of the week to Ian. Ian, you get to pick one analyst from the Blockworks research team to call
That's a
the
big
analyst
honor.
of the week.
Oof. Gosh, this is a lot of pressure. It's got to be Toma.
Dude, he got it last week.
It's just winners win.
Winners win.
He got it last week. He can't get it 2 weeks in a row. Okay.
Toma's the goat.
Toma,
All right.
congrats on analyst of the week again. You can collect your
I'm gonna shout
reward.
out Zook.
Shouts out Zook.
Guys,
Big up,
this
Zook.
isn't, we can't, this isn't how the system works. We
I wanna
get to
shout him
pick
out.
one per week. Okay. Shout out Zook. Shout out Toma. Any other shout outs? Fuck it. Let's give everybody analyst of the week.
Shout
You
out
know what?
Shonda Devins. Shonda Devins, if you're listening to this, contact me.
Shonda, let's
I think
meet up in
Carlos had a pretty
Bosnia.
good piece on Derive, right?
All right, I got to drop.
All right.
It was a great chat.
Great chat. Thank you for coming on, Danny.
Have an amazing
If you
weekend.
don't
Danny.
host the pod. Okay, Ian, we're gonna end it together. I also want to give a shout
Shonda
out to
Devins.
Ryan. Stop. We're still live. I also want to give a final shout out to Ryan Connor, who I don't know if everybody saw, but he's leaving. So
Shouts out Ryan Connor.
he's actually the analyst of the week.
Ryan Cashflow Connor.
Ryan Cashflow Connor. It's crazy that he's leaving. And I never got to rub his head once, which I think is insane.
How many times did you ask?
Like 3 times.
I think you would have gotten on the 4th.
Yeah.
Like, did he
Maybe
did he warm up to it each time, or like what was the initial reaction?
He just kind of gave me a wink.
kind of. So yeah, he was just playing hard to get.
Yeah. All right. Ian, thank you for coming on. If you want to hang out with Ian, he'll be at DAS next week. I will not be, but you guys should try and get him on. Ian, anything final you want to say? Check out 0xResearch research. Check out First Set Staking.
Oh yeah.
Stake with them on
Stake with
Solana.
us.
Stake with them on Monad. Stake with them on Babylon.
On Babylon, on Celestia, on
Oh, yeah.
Fogo.
Fogo
Falls
Fall.
soon. Fogo Falls coming. Fogo Falls right around the corner.
Fogo Falls right around the corner. We got 3-4 months left. All right. Peace.
All right. Cheers, guys.